Alright, finishing up with the explanation of this town here. This is the level 4 black magic. Very expensive. Before we go on to saving the prince and all that other stuff, you're going to want to stock up on the fast spell, which is basically haste. If you're familiar with that, it adds speed to your attack. So basically in this game, if your character is doing 2 hits at 200 damage, it's going to make him do 4 hits at 400 damage. So basically doubles the amount of hits and damage that the person's going to do. So it's a very, very effective spell, and you definitely want to get that. Confuse, useless. That's all I'm going to say. It doesn't work half the time. Sleep 2, also useless. There's no point in wasting your time putting enemies to sleep. Just go ahead and attack them and destroy them with 1 or 2 tries. Ice 2, very good spell on certain characters. It's not as strong as Fire 2 or Lightning 2. But when you're in a fire cave area or something, you can use Ice 2 and it's more effective that way. So it's good to use. You don't really need to get this now, so I would recommend, before going on to the next thing in this town, at least pick up this level 4 spell if you can afford it. But it's not necessary to get to your next objective. Yeah, compare the top. Okay. Finish it. Level 4 white magic. What do we got here? Pure. Okay, this is the most useless level of magic for the white mage, because none of it's useful now. The only thing that's useful and it's later on in the game is anti-ice, and it's not really even that useful. It's a good defensive barrier for all 4 of your characters against ice spells, which is good to have when you're dealing with more magic characters, but as of right now it's 100% useless. I would probably wait on any of these until after you're done doing things and you have extra cash and you want to fill up your levels. Anti-mutes is completely useless. Don't even bother buying that, because I've never actually had any of my characters get mute casted on them and actually work. No characters in the game really even cast that spell. I think maybe the boss at the end of the game has a chance of doing it, but it's never happened. I've beaten this game at least 30 times and I've never had that issue, so don't even bother wasting your money on that. Anti-ice is good to have later on in the game. Fear, basically when you use that spell, it goes on all the enemies, and you'll have like a small chance per enemy to cast fear on them, and if it works, they'll run away within a turn or 2, but it never works and it's not really even worth using it. Pure is really a waste of money as well, because you can stock up on pure items, which is much cheaper. I mean, if you spend 4,000 on pure items, you'll probably have at least 80, and you'll never use that many. Well, you'll probably use that many in the game, but there's really no point in wasting magic points on a spell when you have items to take care of it. So like I said, there's really nothing in here that's really worth getting right now except for anti-ice. Everything else is practically useless. So there's just a heads up on that, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Okay, let's see what's going on over here. There we go. There's a little hint to what you have to do, or figure out, at least check out, is there's a castle to the northwest, and it was spooky, so we immediately left, which means there's an issue there, so we'll have to check that out. Ostos wears a disguise and lurks in seclusion. Okay. Now, unless you're watching this as a strategy guide or you have an actual strategy guide, originally when you had this game, when this game came out in the late 80s, you literally had to talk to absolutely everybody in the town, or you would not know what to do or where to go, what you're supposed to do. So I'm going to do that to the best of my abilities, but not drag it out too much, because I do know what the story is. Well, I'll try not to do too many spoilers. I might slip up once in a while, but Sleeping Prince notified. Okay. For 5 years, the prince has slept under the Osto spell. Only Herb can wake him. I say Herb. You're supposed to say Herb. I think Herb sounds better. Alright, so that's pretty much it that's going on in this town. I mean, or not town, this castle. Let's see what he has to say. Without warning, Ostos attacked our castle. Our prince was laid under a curse, and our treasury was ransacked. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty much it in this town, in this castle. So at this point, you're going to want to level grind and, you know, get your shields, get your armors, hook up all your items, and once you do that, you can kind of set off and figure out the rest of the story. Then I'll do it too, so you can watch my videos. But stick in this area here and make sure before you start level grinding that you buy a ton of pure items, because you will get poisoned left and right. There's snakes, there's scorpions, there's all kinds of stupid things in these forests that will poison you, and it's real obnoxious. So with that said, I got a couple minutes left. I'm going to do a couple key things that I kind of skipped through, and we kind of need those to figure out the story. So I'm going to head north. Okay, my order is messed up and my guys are kind of hurting. As you can tell, I've already done some of the level grinding. I've already got most of my magic, so I'm much higher than you're going to be at this point if you're following the guide. Oh, that was wasteful. And of course, you should know by now that once an enemy dies, if another character is selected on the enemy, it doesn't go to the next available enemy. It tries to attack the empty space, which means it's a waste of a turn, so you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. It's very easy to waste turns in this game. Okay. As you can tell, that's the original town. I just went straight up, going around underneath the bridge. And we're going to go north. Now the reason why I didn't go there in the very beginning, even though I knew it was there, is because after beating Garland, the first kind of mini boss, he wasn't really that strong. Your level's really not high enough to go up there and figure out what's up here yet. I just wanted to go directly to the town, that you don't really have any items or anything to save you. So right now you're just going to get a lot of weak enemies, so just breeze through here. Alright, there's a cave. Most of the time, like right now, there's 7 wolves. Pretty much a waste of time to even bother fighting them. It's not worth wasting any of your magic trying to, you know, fight them all off, because you're not going to get much experience. And hopefully you've realized by this point that you put the message speed on 8, or at least close to it. Okay. T sells Bishop a magic spell. Okay, obviously you look at that, the first thing you notice, it says push B, select, it's backwards. And I'll show you what that does in a second. Treasure is empty. I already came here. I think it's just 2 potions and maybe a tent, possibly. All the brooms say the same thing, so you don't have to talk to all of them. Where's my crystal? I can't see anything without it. Who stole my crystal? So basically, if we come up with the crystal, we gotta bring it back to her. Now, I just have to make sure. Also, you have to be careful not to waste any of your heal potions or your cure spells on characters, because even if they're full, it will still cast a spell on them and you'll be wasting it. Alright, so that's another 10 minutes down. I'm going to go back to, I believe they call it Elfland. They don't actually tell you what the name of the town is, I don't think. I'm going to go back to that area, and we're going to go to the next, we're going to go check out that castle they were talking about and see what's happening there. So, I'm going to pause, and I'll be back at Elfland's when we get back.